Okay, so I
Yep.
do my starter course. I put it out to my network. I get some opt-ins. Let's just say there's 1,000 people that opted into my course. Now I've got their
Okay.
emails, kind of their contact info. If I'm a financial advisor and I want to take the next step and I want to get them into my office, or there's some sort of qualification, do they have enough money to work with me?
Mhm.
Because I'm assuming there's not much qualification going on here. Do they just want to pay for the course? Here you go.
Yep.
How would you think about that and taking like the next step down the funnel?
If my goal was to get people into my office so I could work with them, I'd rethink the strategy and probably would not charge for the course. I would
Mm,
do a beautiful job of marketing it like it is really quality because it will be. But I think I probably would give it to them for free in exchange for name and email. And I would build inside the course some kind of quiz early on assessment to figure out if they would be a good fit. And if they are a good fit, they would start not while they're going through the course, they would start to receive emails from me talking about how I can take what they're learning to a whole new level. Or the next step is to come into the office or get on a Zoom call so we can take this and explode it and make them a lot of money and give them a lot of security. So you could still charge for it, but what happens when you charge is you might get more quality people. That is true. However, you're going to get a lot less. And so if you just want to cast a wide net and then use your assessment to decide who you're going to move into, going to the next step, I feel like that might be the best way to go. But either of them work, and I've seen both of them work with my students.
cool. So I want to go back to a conversation I literally had today with an advisor that actually has a fairly big YouTube channel, which is not common. Uh, is there anything around the idea? I was just doing 75 hard, and I think there's something with these challenges that I think we all get sucked into where it's like, for this set amount of time, I'm going to level up in this area of my life. And I'm just thinking like a 30-day financial challenge or something like that. Have you seen any courses where it's like a challenge for a set amount of time where it's this free thing and it's like, now you take this positive momentum and it's like, hey, your trajectory is going this way. Here's how to take it even to the next level higher. Have you seen anything like that out of curiosity?
Absolutely. Yeah, I see it with challenges in boot camp. So I typically do a boot camp very similar where people get into my boot camp. It's $37. They get into my boot camp and for 2 weeks, I teach them the basics of how to get started with the digital course. At the end of that, I do a webinar where I show them what's possible when they actually implement and go deeper with what I just taught. And I invite them into a $2,000 course and it converts at 25% because the boot
Mm,
camp was so hands-on. They were
yeah.
engaged. They also paid a little money to be in there. And I think that makes a difference, like I mentioned. But we've seen this over and over again. But let's put it into the context of a financial advisor. If you're working with people that, let's say, are retirement age, so 60s, 70s, would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say some of our advisors tip into the 50s as well. But yeah,
Okay.
I'd say that's not too far off.
So let's say 50s, 60s, 70s, based on the age and their generation, getting into like a 30-day challenge probably isn't something that they naturally would do. And
Right.
so,
Yep.
and I don't want to be ageist because I'm older as well. And I just know I have a lot of students who are in their 50s and 60s. And I know it's harder to get them into a challenge or a boot camp versus doing a master class for free and then inviting them into my course or into the next thing. It's not like it can't be done. I just like to be a realist here and say sometimes that's a little tricky. However, if you did let's say a challenge, you want it to be like 7 days. You want it to be shorter. Again, the TikTok kind of mentality. You
Hmm.
want it to be shorter and results faster, instant gratification. And I do think someone even older that's not really used to doing those kind of things would be more inclined to say, I could do 7 days and start to kind of change some things around. So shorten that up and I think you'll get a bigger audience. But yeah, what happens is after the challenge, you have to be inviting them into the next step, whether it be to work with you into a digital course, whatever it might be. Where I see people really screw up with those challenges, they're great list builders because typically you can't get into the challenge unless you give your name and email. But the power is the next step, the call to action once they're starting to get some momentum.